So today we are going to be talking about The Matrix. Wait, hold on. Let me just... That's better. So today we are going to be talking about The Matrix because some news came out a month or two ago that Drew Goddard, creator of Daredevil, the Netflix series, the writer of Cabin in the Woods, and the writer-director of Bad Times at the El Royale, is set to write and direct the fifth Matrix film. Now, long story short, I'm not all that happy about this. I'm seriously not happy about this, and I will explain exactly why. Of course, if you do like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, this black stuff here is like literally the only black stuff in my wardrobe. And I've literally got thermal leggings on in the middle of summer, so um, I am basically asking to get the worst jock itch of my life. So I have the story here. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. So a Warner Bros. Spokesperson said Drew came to Warner Bros. With a new idea that we would all believe would be an incredible way to continue the Matrix world. By both honoring what Lana and Lilly began over 25 years ago, and offering a unique perspective based on his own love of the series and characters. The entire team at Warner Bros. Discovery is thrilled for Drew to be making this new Matrix film, adding his vision to the cinematic canon the Wachowskis spent a quarter of a century building here at the studio. The article kept going on about how The Matrix was a very commercially successful film franchise, until, of course, The Matrix Resurrections came out in 2021 and bombed. And when I say that fans of The Matrix were pissed about this, I mean they were pissed about this. On Letterboxd, there are some hidden reviews of The Matrix 5, which is a film that hasn't come out yet. And this is basically what the public and what the fans of the franchise have to say to Warner Bros. About this. It's hard as fuck to read with sunglasses, so please forgive me. One viewer wrote, Matrix 4 ended in a way that would make it impossible for another Matrix movie to be made. I don't think Warner Bros. Understood that. Someone else called Winslow added, gonna adopt the language of the enemy real quick and declare that this thing isn't canon. Anyone excited for a Wachowski-less sequel is someone I am going to see in hell. A third person called Nerd in a Nutshell wrote, they took your story, something that meant so much to people like me, and turned it into something trivial. That's what The Matrix does. It weaponizes every idea, every dream. Locking this in as the worst film of all time now, bastardized cinema. But I think the person that had the most to say was Danny. They said, fuck you a million times, Warner Bros. Do you really expect people to have faith or even want to watch the fifth film on a franchise directed and written by two trans women that now has been given to a cis, straight, white man to direct it? And I say given because, let's be honest, Drew Goddard is not going to direct this film. He is just a name for Warner Bros. Just a face for the direction, but not the actual director. This is such an insult for all that Lily and Lana Wachowski created, such an important story with a lot of personal and philosophical subtext about identity and knowing who you are, and not letting anyone tell you otherwise. Well, not so but you know what I mean. For those who can feel represented in this franchise, and a lot of great action sequences for those who like action, and my love for Keanu Reeves. This is fucking disrespectful. I am going to rewatch the Matrix films not only for the Matrix's 25th anniversary, also because this is such a fucking awful news that I want to watch again the amazing work that Lily and Lana made with this franchise that now is being turned into another soulless action franchise by Warner Bros. So yeah, in my opinion, this person cooked a lot with this review. And I am going to explain more in depth why this is bad, why Warner Bros. Going with Drew Goddard is bad. It goes without saying that quite a lot of trans viewers resonate with The Matrix because it's a franchise that was made from the heart and soul of two trans women, Lana and Lilly Wachowski, who are sisters. But don't just take it from me. This is an article from Vox about how The Matrix universalized a trans experience. So Lana was the first to come out in 2010, which is 7 years after The Matrix Reloaded came out, although there was like rumors of Lana being trans way back in 2003. Lilly came out in the mid-2010s, so quite a bit later, and it became popular for critics to read their films through the lens of their transness. That I'm quoting the Vox article there, not plagiarizing. And you can see the undercurrent of transness throughout the film, so I think a lot of people have explained this quite in depth, but you have the blue pill, red pill dichotomy, with the red pill basically being what estrogen pills looked like back in the 90s.
Take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Then you have Morpheus telling Neo that there is something burning inside of him that he couldn't explain his entire life, and that it was like a splinter driving him mad.
You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
So he took the red pill and he became free. Granted, this analogy then became used by men's rights activists like Andrew Tate to basically explain how men need to be more misogynistic.
The reason I use The Matrix, I've watched that movie a few times, but there's so many similarities, and the basic premise is that humans' minds are controlled and put inside of a false reality, and I don't think it's much different to reality.
But that's neither here nor there. So this article states that the Wachowskis actually wanted to make this trans reading explicit with the character of Switch. So Switch was written to be a male character in the reality of The Matrix, but this character was female within The Matrix. So there's obviously a bit of gender fluidity with this character. Whether this character is trans, femme, non-binary, that is up to interpretation. So back in the 90s, when the internet was in its infancy, many trans people would find community in small forum threads or direct messaging and things like that. And there they would talk about their experiences with their gender. They would often find out that there are other people like them. And so a lot of trans femme culture was going on the internet as an identity that you don't present in real life. And you kind of see this parallel with Neo. In The Matrix, Neo is represented as Mr. Anderson, but online he calls himself Neo. And this becomes the name that he adopts when he breaks free of the Matrix. He is called Neo. And you do see the agents, like Agent Smith, constantly trying to bring back this name, calling him Mr. Anderson constantly, like it's a reminder that he was born of the Matrix.
Mr. Anderson. 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 Mr. Anderson.
So it's either a way to belittle Neo or a way to make him desist. So as a trans woman, I can speak about how this film personally resonates with me. For the first 19 years of my life, I felt much the same that Neo did in the film. Like, there was something more to me that, like, I couldn't quite get at, and it was driving me insane. There was this feeling that, like, this couldn't be all there was. I didn't know why I felt different. But then I discovered who I was. I took the red pill, I took the estrogen, and I broke free of this suppressive line of thinking. And then obviously I had my own Agent Smiths. We had the government trying to suppress trans people, like suppressing it so the NHS has ridiculously long waiting lists. You had people like J.K. Rowling trying to get trans women to desist. and trying to scare them away from being trans and from existing as their true self. So the Matrix really solidified this feeling within themselves, and the Wachowskis said that the Matrix was made from a closeted point of view. So either this allegory was subconscious or it is something they were conscious of but they were too scared to act on. That part isn't entirely explicit, but either way, the fact that these two people were trans is what made the Matrix the Matrix. Their gender identity was how they truly resonated with the story that they created. Researching for this video, I've seen the first Matrix, but I haven't seen 2, 3, and 4, so I watched all those last night to catch up on everything that I wasn't sure about. I formed a ranking, which I will talk about later. But what struck me about The Matrix 2 is that it's not just this whole trans allegory. It takes the exploration of gender and sexuality to a new level that I wasn't quite prepared for. I think my favorite scene in the entire film is the rave scene. So all these people in Zion, they're having a rave, they're free to be themselves, and this is probably my favorite scene in the entire film, and perhaps the entire franchise as well. And while this is happening, Neo and Trinity are, well, they're having sex. Let's just say it how it is. But it's not just sex. Like, this is the first time that a major franchise, to me, has had this level of, like, raw passion in its sex scene. Like, it wasn't just boobs and bum and, like, just people being naked and hot. But, like, there was also this energy that, like, I couldn't quite put my finger on until I really thought about it. So you had splashes of water during the rave scene, you had loads of moisture and loads of sweat. So Neo and Trinity share the same energy as the rave, which makes the actual romance scene seem that much more erotic, that much more lively, and so much more passionate. In this film, like no other, I actually bought that these two people were truly in love with each other. And that's hard to do with a sex scene, but remember, the Wachowskis are also the same people that made Bound, which has that same kind of erotic energy which really permeates that film, and which makes Love Lies Bleeding a solid successor to it. This is another Wachowski signature that kind of permeates the Matrix franchise that you don't really get with many people. So I'm worried that Drew Goddard, if he came into this, he wouldn't capture the same resonance of eroticism and passion with the characters' romances that the Wachowskis captured. That is a unique signature of theirs, and it's very important to the story of The Matrix. The Matrix is about love, about passion, about loving a person more than anything in the world. And the love story of Neo and Trinity really solidifies that. But I think the one film that solidifies The Matrix being a Wachowski signature franchise is The Matrix Resurrections. So The Matrix Resurrections was released in 2021 to mixed reviews from both critics and audiences. It's very divisive. It's almost like The Last Jedi. It was a box office bomb, but we have to remember, one, this was post-pandemic, and two, it released on the same week as Spider-Man No Way Home, which was kind of reckless and stupid on the part of Warner Bros. And it seems that Lana Wachowski is getting the blame for it. Unlike the other three films, this one was directed just by Lana Wachowski. Lilly Wachowski wasn't involved in Resurrections like she was the other three, and you can definitely tell this is a very singular, very Lana Wachowski story. So obviously spoilers for The Matrix Resurrections, because there is a lot of weird shit that happens in this film that kind of I can't explain without spoiling the entire franchise. At the end of the Matrix Revolutions, Neo and Trinity both sacrifice themselves to save Zion from an invasion of AI bots. And the Matrix Resurrections sees both Neo and Trinity going by different lives. Neo is once again Thomas Anderson, and Trinity is living a life as a married mum of two called Tiffany. And I have to say, the first 30 minutes of this film are so hilariously meta, like I've never seen before. Thomas Anderson is a game developer. He made The Matrix. He made the Matrix trilogy of video games. And the company he works under, Warner Bros., want him to make a fourth Matrix game. And Thomas Anderson was like, no, this would harm the story of the Matrix, and this isn't in my heart. This is not what I want to do in my heart. And then his boss says, you make this or we will. Either way, this shit is getting made. Which is absolutely fucking hilarious. I don't know how this slipped through Warner Bros. Cracks, because it is so explicit, so on the nose, so hilariously on the nose, that Lana Wachowski is shitting all over them for attempting to bastardize her franchise, and she took it back under their control and was like, no bitch, I am making this movie my own. And she fucking did that. So she has talked about how she made this film with a feeling of grief in her heart because she experienced a loss in her real life, and she kind of channeled that grief into making the Matrix Resurrections, which basically deals with her desire for Neo and Trinity to get a happy ending, because she felt that that was the way to healing herself, is to resurrect Neo and Trinity. It kind of makes Resurrections an almost fan-fiction-y and very audacious addition to the franchise. And it's one where, as that Letterboxd viewer explained, is not exactly something that Warner Bros. Can make a sequel of, nor should they. The Matrix Resurrections was essentially Lana Wachowski's way of saying, Warner Bros., this is my franchise. This is mine and my sister's franchise. So you can get all the way off of our backs with this film. And surprisingly, they did. I would say The Matrix Resurrections, despite how divisive it is among its audience, is fantastic. And I would say that it ranks second on my list of all the Matrix films. So first is obviously the original, then it's Resurrections, then it's Reloaded, and then at bottom, absolute rock bottom, is Revolutions. Like, I think the last 30 minutes of Revolutions is very good, but the rest of it is just CGI slop and just not character-based. We don't spend enough time with Neo and Trinity, and it's just an absolute mess. Naturally, as such a huge fan of Resurrections, such a huge fan of this franchise overall, I am very disappointed in this news. I am very frustrated that The Matrix is about to be taken by Warner Bros. And morphed into something that is not the Wachowskis anymore. This franchise would not be what it is. Lana has said she wants this franchise to be a certain way. This is her franchise, and Warner Bros. Took it anyway and is about to bastardize it into their own product. And look, I like Drew Goddard. I love Daredevil. I really liked Bad Times at the El Royale. I saw that in cinemas and I really enjoyed it. It stuck with me for at least a couple months. But he should understand that this is not his franchise to write and direct. This is a franchise not only for the trans people, not only is The Matrix the most culturally significant piece of art ever made by trans people, but also it is nothing without what makes it tick. So the energy, the passion, the eroticism, and moreover, the transness of it all. Drew Goddard can't really talk about any of that stuff. Well, maybe he can, but not without the depth and complexity that Lana and Lilly Wachowski can bring to this franchise. So yes, this is a massive L from Warner Bros., a massive L from Drew Goddard, despite how much I like some of his films and some of his work. But it's just so damaging to the image of the Matrix franchise overall, which is a uniquely queer sci-fi franchise, and it's absolutely antithetical to what this world is about. So why did Warner Bros. Turn away from the Wachowski sisters? Well, it's a bit complicated because there are contradictory ideas. It's important to note that David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, is an absolutely cutthroat CEO. He is a businessman. He is a cold-hearted businessman. He is not an artist, and he does not pretend to be an artist. An example of that is when Batgirl got canned. This was a really high-profile thing where an entire $100 million film was just canned after it was filmed for a tax write-off. That's insane. That's unprecedented. And that is so callous to any notion of art. You don't just take someone's work and rip it into, delete it from the servers because you want a fucking tax write-off. That's horrific. That is cold. But it brings to light what kind of businessman Zaslav is. Now, one potential answer for why Zaslav dropped with the Wachowskis and went with Drew Goddard is the box office reception of Resurrections, because it didn't make a lot of money. It was definitely a box office bomb. But we also have to remember that not only did this thing premiere just after a pandemic and in the same week as Spider-Man No Way Home, but a filmmaker who was allowed to make a deeply personal project within Warner Bros. Was allowed to become the CEO of DC despite having a similar box office bomb. And that's not me throwing shade to James Gunn. I love James Gunn. I love all his work. He is up there with one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, and I'm so excited for his Superman film. But I am noticing that there is a double standard here, something that doesn't quite add up with this whole thing. Why did Zaslav can the Wachowskis but keep James Gunn, even though they had similar box office failures in the same period? Is it because their existence as trans women within Hollywood is controversial? Who knows? Honestly, who fucking knows at this point? And honestly, I think we will learn more and more about this situation as The Matrix 5 gets closer to development, as casts get announced, as press junkets happen. You will not convince me, or at least it would be extremely hard to convince me to go to the cinema to see Drew Goddard's Matrix. It's not gonna happen. So this video was more of a rant and an emotionally charged one rather than an actual coherent argument. That being said, I am trying to keep a little bit of objectivity. Anyway, I am working currently on a video about another Warner Bros. Property, which should be coming up in the next couple weeks. That one will be an exploration of the Dune 3, Dune Messiah, that just got greenlit, and I will be speculating about how that film would look, how it will feel, and how that adaptation might happen. Because Dune was an ambitious adaptation, Dune Messiah might be an even more ambitious adaptation. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little rant. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and maybe even subscribe for more. There's videos every week, every Thursday. If you want to come along, have a look. 8 p.m. British time. I love you all. Have a very good day. Bye-bye.